Jesus is crucified.
Very early in the morning, the leading priests, the elders, and the teachers of religious law, the entire high council, met to discuss their next step. They bound Jesus, led him away, and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor.
Are you the king of the Jews?
You have said it.
Then the leading priests kept accusing him of many crimes.
Aren't you going to answer them? What about all these charges they are bringing against you?
But Jesus said nothing, much to Pilate's surprise. Now, it was the governor's custom each year during the Passover celebration to release one prisoner, anyone the people requested. One of the prisoners at that time was Barabbas, a revolutionary who had committed murder in an uprising. The crowd went to Pilate and asked him to release a prisoner, as usual.
Would you like me to release to you this, King of the Jews?
For he realized by now that the leading priests had arrested Jesus out of envy. But at this point, the leading priests had stirred up the crowd to demand the release of Barabbas, instead of Jesus.
Then what should I do with this man you call, the King of the Jews?
Crucify him.
Why? What crime has he committed?
But the mob roared even louder.
Crucify him.
So to pacify the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He ordered Jesus flogged, with a lead-tipped whip. Then turned him over to the Roman soldiers to be crucified. The soldiers took Jesus into the courtyard of the governor's headquarters, and called out the entire regiment. They dressed him in a purple robe, and wove thorn branches into a crown, and put it on his head. Then they saluted him and taunted,
Hail, King of the Jews!
And they struck him on the head with a reed stick, spit on him, and dropped to their knees in mock worship. When they were finally tired of mocking him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to be crucified. A passerby named Simon, who was from Cyrene, was coming in from the countryside just then, and the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. And they brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means, place of skull. They offered him wine, drugged with myrrh, but he refused it. Then the soldiers nailed him to the cross. They divided his clothes and cast lots to decide who would get each piece. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. A sign announced the charge against him. It read, "The King of the Jews." 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. The people passing by shouted abuse.
Ha! Look at you now.
You said you were going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. Well then, save yourself and come down from the cross.
The leading priests and teachers of religious law also mocked Jesus.
He saved others, but he can't save himself.
Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross, so we can see it and believe him.
At noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. Then at 3 o'clock, Jesus called out with a loud voice,
Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me?
Some of the bystanders misunderstood and thought he was calling for the prophet Elijah. One of them ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, holding it up to him on a reed stick so he could drink.
Wait, let's see whether Elijah comes to take him down.
Then Jesus uttered another loud cry, and breathed his last. Then the veil of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom. So when the centurion, who stood opposite him, saw that he cried out like this and breathed his last, he said,
Truly this man was the Son of God.